Alcatraz Island. Alcatraz Island is a seemingly unassuming landmass turned extra-dimensional organism. Originally a federal prison under the United Zone's government, Alcatraz conceals a terrifying secret. It possesses the ability to assimilate and mimic other life forms to ensure its survival and expansion. Discovered in 1950, the government attempted to eradicate it using a form of radiation therapy akin to cancer treatment, but this only accelerated its reproductive cycle in a phenomenon known as Alcatrazosis, where it rapidly duplicates into multiple entities. By 2003, Alcatraz had reached the U.S. West Coast, triggering the infamous 2003 Alcatraz attack. Harnessing an extension of the Horned Serpent metastructure, it began to imitate its surroundings and spread across the globe, assimilating matter down to elementary particles. This relentless expansion was exposed by independent journalist Leonard W. Moreland, who revealed the organism's deep influence and succumbed to despair over its overwhelming presence. After the catastrophic arrival of the Horned Serpent, Alcatraz adapted further, embedding itself within Richard Nixon, who utilized its matter and powers to create three beings, including the Last Son of Alcatraz. Despite its monstrous nature, Alcatraz's ultimate ambition remains godlike dominion over existence itself. Suez Canal crab. The Suez Canal crab is a colossal otherworldly creature that emerged after the infamous dislodging of the cargo ship Ever Given in 2021. What was once a massive vessel blocking the Suez Canal transformed dramatically when nuclear force was used to free it, causing the Ever Given to sprout 10 giant legs and become a walking monstrosity. This creature then began a slow, terrifying march through Egypt, leaving devastation in its wake. As it advanced toward Cairo, the crab stumbled and collapsed, killing over 1,000 people. Its leaking bodily fluids made the surrounding ground treacherous, prompting the Egyptian government to enforce a strict 3-mile exclusion zone around the creature for public safety. Fears of contamination led to quarantining survivors, while the area became a volatile hotspot. In a bizarre twist, the American Defense Agency, ADA, sparked chaos by encouraging thousands of American citizens to travel to Cairo to reclaim what they called their lost property from the fallen crab. This led to violent clashes with Egyptian forces and a catastrophic stampede when panic swept the crowd as the crab twitched. Of the initial 12,000 visitors, fewer than 1,000 survived. The event also birthed a strange cult, the Church of the Ever Given, formed by survivors who believed divine intervention spared their lives. Air Force One Angel. The Air Force One Angel is a Gestalt entity born from tragedy, vengeance, and ambition. 17 soldiers fused into a single cosmic force. During the Great War, these men operated the unstable anti-airship Death Ray atop the Great Pyramid of Giza. When the weapon backfired, their bodies disintegrated into particles, scattering them across the desert. But death never came. In their disembodied state, the men wandered aimlessly until merging into one, a vengeful, powerful being obsessed with justice and change. Their rebirth led them back to the U.S., where they evicted President John D. Rockefeller from reality. By 2003, under orders from the ADA, the Angel hijacked Air Force One and dropped mysterious infection packages on Mount Rushmore, Alcatraz, and the Statue of Liberty. These acts triggered biological anomalies, such as the rise of special trees and the reappearance of the Washington absentees, earning them the title Air Force One Angel. After being shot down, the Angel turned against the ADA for its reckless plans. They went into hiding until 2022, when the government unleashed the Statue of Freedom in Operation Thunderbird. The Angel retaliated, their energy beam fracturing Earth's crust and awakening the Horned Serpent, causing the cataclysm known as the Great Division. A weapon, a warning, a wanderer. The Angel is all three. The Last Son of Alcatraz. The Last Son of Alcatraz is a Superman-like figure twisted by war, betrayal, and grief. Created by Richard Nixon on the moon to ensure Earth would revere him, the Last Son was built in the image of a Golden Age superhero, noble, impossibly strong, and deeply moral. With memories of actor Kirk Allen, the first man to play Superman, he embodied an unwavering belief in justice and mercy, refusing to kill under any circumstance. As a youth, he pondered his place in the universe, convinced his role was to save others at all costs. That belief crystallized after a fatal accident with James Dean, where he learned to fly in both body and purpose. During the Korean War, he intervened to protect both North and South, drawing awe and fear from world powers. But America turned on him. Bombs fell on Alaska. Captured and implanted with a lunar eye, he was brainwashed into a crucified weapon. In Vietnam, he raised nations under the guise of peace. Racked with guilt, he transformed into a house. Then, corrupted by the Lunarians, into the mindless Crescent King. Now he weeps without end, a Superman corrupted by his creators. Less a savior, more a monument to what happens when hope is broken. Crescent King. The Crescent King is an extraterrestrial parasite of thought and flesh, a mind-breaking presence that slips into the human world through dreams, myths, and oceans. First heralded by living starfish-like entities, the king announced his arrival to astronomer Eli Tillon, who became its first vessel. After failing to desecrate his own body in time, Tillon was overtaken, sharing his consciousness with the king in a grotesque cycle of possession and submission. Unlike other monsters of the mythos, the Crescent King does not destroy cities with brute force. Instead, it infiltrates perception, infecting the planet through urban legends and the eerie house in the ocean phenomena, structures that appear across the world, seeding madness and fear. Crescent beasts followed, breathing like reactors and glowing with apocalyptic heat, their alignment with the moon capable of detonation. In time, the king's influence reached Chase, a wandering robot manipulated into voiding the earth. Even after Cataclysm, the king's legacy endured in fiction, slipped into the Nixonverse like static through a cracked screen. Most disturbingly, the Last Son of Alcatraz would take the king's form after being brainwashed, becoming the Crescent King anew. A symbol of planetary grief, psychological invasion, and celestial doom, the Crescent King does not simply kill, it erases meaning itself. D-Day night. The D-Day night is a patriotic juggernaut forged in blood, fire, and myth. An immortal super soldier born of war and shadow. Created by Richard Nixon during his time on the moon, the knight emerged on the beaches of Normandy in 1944, where he donned the skull of the Horned Serpent as his helmet and saved thousands in silence. A symbol of American valor, he pledged to fight for his country as long as conflict endured. Unlike the idealistic Last Son of Alcatraz, the knight is hardened, private, and quick to rage, traits that would eventually isolate him. Disillusionment began in Korea and climaxed in Vietnam, where he abandoned his post, inscribing "My Way" on his helmet and turning to music in a desperate search for selfhood. As the Last Son fell to the Lunarians and became the Crescent King, language itself began to collapse. The knight, tormented by grief and memory, reawakened, slaughtered the queen of the Lunarians, and unleashed Alcatraz checkmate, a final apocalyptic purge that erased an entire race. He now exists only in fiction, immortalized by Nixon's hand as a comic book legend, a hybrid of Batman's tragedy and Superman's might. The D-Day night is a weapon shaped by guilt, grief, and the quiet hope of redemption. The Horned Serpent. The Horned Serpent, also known as Hanna-de-Ganiers, is an enigmatic and multidimensional entity whose form defies conventional physical boundaries. Its presence is deeply intertwined with key historical and mythical landmarks, most notably the Statue of Liberty and the Statue of Progress. Emerging from the earth itself, the serpent's vast appendages stretch infinitely, requiring monumental structures like the Statue of Liberty's pedestal to contain it. Its influence begins early in history, manipulating figures like Ferdinand de Lesseps to construct the Suez Canal, indirectly facilitating its own emergence. In 1913, one of the serpent's inflamed lungs erupted from the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, toppling the statue and marking the beginning of its overt manifestations. Throughout the 20th century, the United States government sought to control or weaponize parts of the serpent, even using its skull to power the anti-airship death ray during the Great War. The serpent's containment proved precarious, with segments breaking free, leading to phenomena such as the eruption of special trees and triggering the cataclysmic Great Division in 2022. Though it briefly escaped into other universes, its story remains one of a cosmic force whose sprawling, incomprehensible presence warps reality itself, forever linked to the monuments that tried and failed to hold it back. Statue of Freedom. The Statue of Freedom is a towering living monument forged from bronze, flesh, and obsession. Sculpted in 1857 by Thomas Crawford, the statue was more than a symbol, it was a vessel. Crawford sacrificed his life to imbue the plaster model with his soul. In 1858, while being shipped aboard the Monarca, the statue violently reassembled, carrying Crawford's daughter, Nina, who had stowed away. Upon reaching the Rock of Gibraltar, the statue ascended with unnatural force, ultimately skinning Nina and merging their souls into one. This marked its first massacre, over 25 dead at Gibraltar, before the statue sailed for America. There, it remained lifeless atop the Capitol until 1977, when an ADA assault knocked it free. Reawakened, it killed over 150 in a single day before vanishing. It reappeared in the Grand Canyon, now wielding a Giza glass sword and designated as a Giza Guardian. It hunts trespassers and ADA affiliates, turning some victims into preserved canyon crowns. With its blade, it enforces a twisted version of liberty, one rooted in silence, death, and eternal preservation. The Statue of Freedom is no longer a monument to democracy. It is an executioner cloaked in the skin of a dream long dead.